I almost quit bodybuilding because I didn't think I was good enough. I was shot down into the ground with a coach that I had, and mentally I was in such a bad position. I was like, is this for me? Do I even enjoy it? Am I even good enough to get to where I want to? Like, I was questioning myself so much, and it wasn't until like Hader comes and instills this confidence back in me. I remember him saying like, we need to get this old Dudley back. He's like, you're not the same. I can see it in you. And I was just in such a bad place. But once I managed to get that confidence in myself back, then it's just been ramping up since then. I fucking feel like I'm gonna start crying. I'm so emotional person.
No, bro,
I've never been as confident in myself as I am right now. So I'm just trying to hold on to that and be proud of that and just keep working every single day, coming from where I've come from, man. What's going on, guys? In this episode, we go over some real stuff. This is the cost of bodybuilding mentally and physically. Make sure you drop a comment, like, share. This can help a lot of people out. This is our experiences, and we talk through stuff thoroughly. Make sure you stay tuned till the end as well, because we go through a few bodybuilders. We go through Keon. We go through Urs. We go through the best amateur bodybuilder that you have ever seen with your eyes. Well, best that I've seen ever with my eyes. So make sure you stay tuned till the end. I'll add the timestamps in the bottom. So if there's anything that you specifically want to watch, just click them and you can get to it there and then. Enjoy. Yo, what's going on, guys? Me and Sam are back with another PhysiqqTalks episode. Today we're going to be covering the topic of physical and mental costs of bodybuilding. But you want to kick this off?
Yeah, so me and Dudley thought we would do like a two-part series on the cost of bodybuilding and what give an insight on to maybe people who haven't competed or are thinking of competing, and obviously share some advice with people who have competed. Just give our insight and a basic overall insight on like the cost, and we're talking physical cost, the mental cost, and then we'll follow up with the financial cost, how much actually costs financially to run a prep and actually be a bodybuilder, and also the emotional costs. So yeah, today we're going to run down on the mental and the physical side. I think we're going to kick it off with fatigue, aren't we, Dudley? So that's a big one to watch on prep. Obviously, as you get deeper into your prep, your chance to fatigue is going to raise significantly. So like I say, We'll kick off with that first. How did you find your prep, Dudley, this year?
Oh man, don't even get me started. I grafted. I didn't. My laptop
just froze there, bro. Did that freeze for you?
Yeah, my laptop's just gone mashed up. One sec. Right, we're back. Yo, so my prep was crazy. My prep, I didn't even expect to make the weight cut. So obviously, for me to be the end of being 10 pounds under the weight cap, I obviously had to graft to get there. And fatigue wise, it's not even hunger on prep, it's fatigue that absolutely mashes you. And you've just got to learn how to manage that as much as possible. And I said something the other day on my Instagram. I was like, when you get to the point of being like highly fatigued, but you still need more, you need to think of what's the 1% more that I can do that everyone else is not doing. Can I wear compression socks when I sleep? Can I ice bath? Can I do saunas? Can I get massages? That's what you need to be doing when you get into this fatigue stage. A lot of people are like, oh, I need a refeed, or we need to pull back on cardio. That shouldn't be the first thought. The first thought should be, what is these other little 1% things that I'm not doing? And if you are doing all those little 1% things, and then fatigue is still super bad, then maybe we can look at refeeding, we can look at off-plan meals, we can look at pulling back cardio, but you have to be nailing these other things as well. So I was doing ice baths, saunas, Epsom salt baths, getting a massage, doing cupping. I was wearing the compression socks when I sleep. I was icing my knees every single night. And that kind of, it obviously helped with the fatigue. But I made sure I had all those little pointers at 100 before I was like, right, we need to refeed, we need to pull back on cardio. So that should always be the first point of call when it comes to trying to manage fatigue. But it is tough. It is tough.
I think that's a good point to mention, to be fair, bro. It's like some people might think they're fatigued, but actually they're just tired. There is a difference between being tired and being close to burning out, like I'm sure you were on your prep, you know. And that's when it's down to like the coach and the individual to work together to obviously think, right, okay, are you tired, or are you just tired, or are you fatigued? Like, say if you're fatigued, that's when you need to go down that route. But like you said, Dudley, though, there's always little things you can do, like even if the individual, if you're still adding like sauces to your meals, that's stuff like that. If you're still having extras on top, you know, like little things that you're doing. If you're not eliminating that first, then don't like think about, oh, am I too tired or too fatigued? You know, there's the little things, the little details that you sort of should be nailing first. But like you say, it is. I think it is important to know when the fatigue hits, though, because if you then dig underneath that, and you're just going to crash, aren't you? It's, you know, and I've had it on a prep when I've just literally crashed, bro, and there was no getting out of that hole. You know, it took like 2 weeks of food post show to actually get out the hole that I was in. So, you know, that's like a cost that we pay on prep, is, you know, being fatigued. But again, that's like, well, I think you just pretty much covered it. You pretty much covered, like, you know, how to manage it.
Yeah.
Say.
We got to think about how it affects our daily lives as well. You got to think about your job and stuff.
Yeah.
How much fatigue can you really handle? Can you do a bodybuilding prep? Can you be a bodybuilder? There's still fatigue in the off season as well, because you're absolutely nailing yourself in the gym 10 times more. I had a leg day last week. It took me about 4 days to recover. Could I have done a normal job? No, because I'd napped like 4 times a day for 2 days.
Yeah.
So like I'm lucky that I can be a full-time online coach and I can sort that stuff out. So you need to think, when we're talking about costs of bodybuilding, you need to write a list of all these costs of bodybuilding, take a note of everything, and then say, can I does this fit with my lifestyle? Because it will affect your lifestyle, and that's the ultimate cost of affecting your everyday life. So if it does come into that and it starts ruining your work, you're getting sacked from your job, all that kind of stuff, and it's probably not worth it for you to be a bodybuilder.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Like you say, because, you know, if you're doing like a physically demanding job, you're on site for like 8 hours, 9 hours of the day, then you're trying to train afterwards. It's just not going to happen. Like you say, you're going to end up accruing so much fatigue. You're just going to feel burnt out all the time. And there's another aspect of those, like what you just said before the podcast, with like taking too many stims. You know, that can really, like, if you take too much caffeine, that can burn out your adrenals, and, you know, you will feel tired after that as well. So that's just another thing to bear in mind, you know, in terms of like living with fatigue.
Yeah, fatigue is a full round, and that can kind of push us onto hormonal imbalances, because when you're massively fatigued, hormones, you were talking about, like cortisol levels will raise and stuff, and especially in females, it can be a massive issue in prep. You're going to start see yourself stalling and dropping weight, because your hormones are all out of whack. So you have to be able to manage fatigue, to be able to manage hormones, like all of this stuff, all these costs that we're saying we all link together really, really well, because everything has to be managed together in order to make you the best bodybuilder. And
like as we're onto that point of like the hormone imbalance and things like that, again, it's like important to realize as well. Well, wait, bro, I'm gonna go into PEDs here. We're getting into it too early.
It's all right.
As saying, obviously with hormonal imbalance, you've got to take into account that if you are an assisted athlete, obviously taking PEDs is going to affect this as well. You know, there are certain compounds that may stress your, you know, internal organs, and that's going to, you know, potentially raise cortisol, water retention, stuff like that. We have to be aware of, like Dudley said, it's like a whole spectrum of things we need to be aware of, you know, and that is the cost you pay if you want to be a competitive bodybuilder. But like we said as well, though, in the off season, if you've got a manual job in the off season and you're weighing like over 250 pounds, you know, that's going to be a burden as well. You know, it's not an easy route to take. But like you said, if you've got to be sure in yourself, and you've got to know that you can deal with it, you know.
Yeah.
Physically from that.
Yeah. And then, like I said, with fatigue, though, moving on to like being at your weakest, you're always at your weakest on prep. People think you're looking sick, you're looking strong, you're looking massive, but you are actually at your weakest. So, like we said, you can't go into a normal job. It's going to be very tough for you to go into a normal job. If you've got an office job where you sat down and you're on a computer and stuff, it's going to be a lot easier. I think I had a conversation with someone the other day, and it's if you got like an office job and stuff, you can probably do it. But if you've got like a
Yeah,
big active job, it's going to be very tough. Where like if you're personal training on a gym floor, I remember I was personal training on a gym floor throughout my first few reps, and it was horrible. It was
yeah,
horrible. I had no energy. I had to save all of my energy for my clients, which left none of my energy for my girlfriend, which then ended up in my relationship ending. So that's something that we'll talk about on part 2 when we talk about relationships and kind of how it stresses family life and all that kind of stuff. But like you're literally at your weakest point. Like you might look sick, you might look peeled and massive and shredded, and you just look sick, but you feel like shit.
yeah.
And you have to be able to deal with that. It's not even a case of, yeah, we can do these things that are 1% help, but you're still going to be fucked.
You still, yeah, you got to accept, like that. Say that is the cost. Like we're talking in prep, that is the cost. You are going to feel shit. You're going to feel tired. Like even I work an office job, and it's like even then, I was like typing, and I was like, I didn't even want to lift my arms. You know, when your body doesn't want to do anything. Like I was barely lifting my arms, and I was thinking, oh man. And then like mentally as well, you know, like you get a bit of brain fog, and you sort of, you know, you find yourself staring into space. So I was thinking like, wow, if I was doing like a manual labor job like this, it just wouldn't happen. It wouldn't
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
So, you know, it, like you say, it's a
You can
big,
kind of switch off a little bit in an office job, can't you?
oh
You
yeah,
can
you can.
switch off a
Yeah,
touch.
you can.
Whereas like when you're one-to-one personal training with someone,
Oh,
no chance you can switch off because
no.
you'll lose your clients, you'll lose your money.
Yeah. Like
Like bad
I do,
person.
I do the PTing at the weekend, and I specifically moved it to the weekend just because like I knew after work, I wouldn't be mentally there to just, you know, like you said, you want to put all your energy into your client, not, you know, and but then after that, you've got none for yourself. So,
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's definitely
I
that's
I had to stop taking on clients. So you need to be aware of this. Your business might stall if you are
yeah,
self-employed. Your
yeah,
business might stall, or it might even go backwards. But again, is the risk better? Is the risk worth it with the reward? For me, the reward is doing the competition. You then get the exposure from the competition. You get the engagement from the competition. It's basically like promotion. It's a sales method as well. As I do it because I love it. There's some coaches that just compete because of the sales benefits of it. Which is probably something else we can talk about because there's a lot of coaches that do that nowadays. They only compete for the sales benefit of it, the outcome, the pictures, the engagement, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, yeah, I knew a hit was going to come in my business, and I had to be ready for that. I had to be ready for that to impact everything around me. So I had to look at my finances, make sure finances are okay, because you're expending a lot of money, and that's something that we'll talk about on part 2, where we're expending money and then not seeing it come back in. Because I'm so fatigued, I'm so tired, I've just got all this stuff to do. I can't take on any more clients. So I said I'm like 5 weeks out, I think 6 weeks out. I was
yeah.
like, I'm done. You can book your spaces for after, but I can't take any more clients on because I literally my brain can't function. So, like I said, if you are self-employed, be very wary that you might take a hit in your work.
So, like we were saying, Dudley, being at your weakest, just it's worth bearing note. The cost is you're going to be at your weakest physically and mentally. You know, during prep, you are going to have that phase, like you said, 5 weeks out, where if you're self-employed, you're going to suffer. If you're working, you're going to be tired. You know, whatever. So that's a cost that you've got to put into consideration. I would say before you even start prep, are you at a point where you can afford to, you know, potentially lose clients or just hold on to what you've got? You know, or you know, does your job warrant you being that tired, and can you still get away with it? They're all things that you've got to, you know, address and think, can I do this?
So,
You
in
know,
terms of like just being our weakest, what supplements like can we take? What supplements do you take? Is there anything, you know, like health wise, vitamin C, immune system stuff? Like I've got to drink that. Oh, I'm crashing again. I'm crashing.
you know,
I can cut that. Yeah, I keep crashing. I don't know why. Yeah, so my health drink on a morning, I have a health drink on a morning. I think during prep I had a joint support in there. I had vitamin C, apple cider vinegar, raw ginger, lemon, put greens in there as well, coconut water, blend it all up, and that was like my morning health drink. Is there anything that you did to try and?
Yeah, that's pretty much like you said, Dudley, with the drink in the morning, you know, and obviously it help aid your digestion as well. But I think like ashwagandha, I find personally that's a really good supplement. I've found like actually dosing it at 1,200 milligrams for me. Found 600 post workout and 600 in the morning, and I actually find that it does help. I think, well, it's meant to reduce cortisol levels, isn't it? So potentially you can feel less stressed. And I don't know if it's placebo or if it genuinely is working, but when I do take it for a run of a few months, I do find myself being less stressed. And in situations that could make me stressed, I find like I'm a bit more calmer. So I think that's probably worth noting if, you know, anyone's looking for like that to lower their cortisol levels, just to try ashwagandha, especially on prep. And then obviously like a sleep aid potentially before you go to sleep. I have tried melatonin as well, which I find is effective. Not sure about you, Dudley, if you've ever tried it, but
No, I don't use. No, I've tried sleep aids and stuff in the past, but I just a lot of weed, so
you're right.
All I'm doing in prep, and that helps me get to sleep. But to be fair, that's another topic. On prep, I'm smoking all day. I'm waking, I'm baking, I'm smoking. I leave a little bit of a window before I go to the gym, so like wake, bake. And then I kind of won't smoke until I then go to the gym. And then as soon as I've finished the gym, I'm out of the gym, I'm smoking again. And that's just to help me get through these days, because days will get in a graft. So in the off season, like now or whatever, I might have a little spliff at like 10 o'clock at night. But I just found it getting earlier and earlier and earlier in the day. So I was like 12 weeks out. I was like, all right, just before I go to bed. And then you get to like 10 weeks out and it starts to get about 8 p.m. And then you get to about 8 weeks out and it's like 6 p.m. And then you get to 6 weeks out and it's like, okay, all right, now it's, and then you get to a few weeks out and before you know it, you're waking and baking and just trying to get through the days. But that's how deep it was for me anyway, me personally. And like I said, I couldn't have gone into a normal job. It's a massive cost.
Yeah.
The whole prep, because you're not mentally there, you're not physically there, and you have to make sure everything around you can click into place in terms of routine and just how you live your life, because it has a massive impact on everything. And I don't think people are aware of that, especially first timers. That's something that we can cover right now. To be fair, first timers don't really understand what it takes. A lot of people just look at your image on stage and are like, yeah, I want a piece of that, but do you really want a piece of it? It's not. I don't think you do.
Like we were saying though, it's like it's all fun and games up until like 6 weeks out, 5 weeks out, and then you've really got to, you know, put the hammer down, so to speak. And like you said, it's that period of time, I think, where it's good that we're addressing all these points, because maybe someone who's thinking about a show can listen to this and think, oh, okay, there's more to it than I actually thought, you know. But like we were saying though, Dudley, like how did you find your sleep was in the back end of prep? Because like you said, you were smoking a bit more. Did you find your sleep suffered, or?
Yeah, sleep's still not good now. Sleep's still not good now for me. I'm still waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to wake up at 4 o'clock. I'd like to maybe wake up at 5:30. But I seem to find myself waking up at 4 o'clock every single morning. I sleep at probably 11 o'clock at night, but then through the day, I'm probably napping 2 or 3 times through the day as well. So sleep's still all over the place. I've just got the Trained by JP Dream Sleep, which has got ashwagandha in and a bunch of other stuff. So that'll help me get a deeper sleep. Do I think really I need a longer sleep? I like being up early. I don't like long sleeps. So I just want to be deeper in the sleep that I'm in. I want more quality sleep than quantity of sleep.
How would you go about getting better quality of sleep rather than quantity?
I think I don't know. I really don't know. It's all about the setup in it of your night. It's all about.
You know, I've found the best thing recently, and I'd started doing it on prep, is when I know I'm about to, if you go to bed at like 9 p.m. or 10 p.m., whatever, an hour before you go to bed, I know it can be hard with work and everything, but try and put your phone away or screens, or limit your exposure to screens. I found if you do that, like I used to basically put my phone away, put my laptop away, respond to clients, and then I would read a book for an hour before bed.
Yeah.
And I found my quality of sleep was much better because I wasn't exposed to any of those the light like an hour or two beforehand. That's just personally me, but you know, if that helps anyone, I found that like that routine I got into it even during prep, like the back end of prep, I was still sleeping okay because I was doing that, and obviously I did try the melatonin as well, but whether or not it was a combination of those two, I don't know, but sleep quality was actually okay. But like we were saying though, sleep is very, very important especially on prep. Like it's how we grow, it's how we recover.
I came like so this is the regionals now. This is where I was against you. This is where me and you first met. So my look wasn't good in the morning. My look wasn't good at all. I mean, it was decent. Obviously, self-judging.
Yeah.
It was a good look. It was probably a good look, but I knew I could have been better. I could have been tighter. My glutes could have been in more, and I just said like, right, look, I'm gonna have a coffee and I'm gonna go out. This was show day morning. I was saying to Hader, I was like, right, I just need to get out of this hotel room. I've not really slept. Anxiety was super, super high. And that's not just because of the show, it's because I had that thing on my shoulder as well, didn't I? So like my anxiety was, I was waking up every 30 minutes to look in the mirror to see if it had gone down. And I couldn't sleep at all. I was so stressed out about it. So I was like, right, it got to a decent time, like a normal person time where I could go outside. I was like, right, I just need to do this. Like, I need to get a coffee. I need to go out and put my earphones in and just walk about. So I did that. And then I came back and then I kept my earphones in. I kept in that same zone that I was in when I was on my walk. And I just closed my eyes and I just fell asleep for probably about 2-3 hours. And I woke up and the look was sick. And I was like, yes. I was like, yes. And if I didn't do that, I would have been holding water. But why would I have been holding water? Because I was stressed. Because anxiety levels were high. I didn't get that sleep at all. But as soon as I had 2-3 hours of good solid sleep, not even I was sat upright and I had the TV on in the hotel room and I just closed my eyes and I kept my earphones in and I just dropped to sleep and I woke up and I was sick. I was like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for. But that's how much sleep can impact your look, like even up until like on the day of the show. So whatever you can do to get a good night's sleep the day before your competition, find a way to do it. Even if that might be a little bit, maybe Hader didn't want me to have a coffee that morning. Maybe he wanted to not want me to like drink water or whatever. But that gave me, I knew what I needed. And that gave me that extra percentage to bring in the look at 100%.
That's it, man. And like you say, that is the power of sleep. Even those extra few hours nap just gave you what you needed. You know, how many times have you had a nap and you wake up and you're like dry and, you know, you look so much better because you've allowed your body to de-stress, lower the cortisol levels. So yeah, if we're getting at anything, it's just the importance of sleep. Like I reckon it's quite overlooked at the moment in bodybuilding, like the power of sleep. If you can nail your sleep routine, you know. But again, like we're saying, this is the cost of bodybuilding. You will lose sleep, especially on a prep. And even in an off season, if you're pushing your body weight high, you know, how many guys have got sleep apnea and they actually can't sleep, you know, they like die in their sleep, you know. They're like 300
points where I had to wear that nose strip.
Yeah.
I think
Did you find it helped?
Yeah. It was the first ever time I touched 100 kg and it wasn't a good 100 kg, man. It was a dirty 100 kg, probably about 3 years ago. So like now I can touch 100 kg easy and still look pretty decent. But back then I pushed 100 kg and I was pretty chunk. And I couldn't breathe, man. I just couldn't breathe at all, even just throughout the day. So I'd even keep it on during my cardio. I'd basically be wearing it all day, every day, because I just felt like I couldn't breathe.
Mad, bro. One off season in 2021, I got to 115 kilos.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and like, bro, I was fat, man. Like, but I was in bed, and my girlfriend said like my snoring was unbearable, and I kept waking up every like half an hour, like gasping for breath, bro.
Yeah.
But that's if you're put a cost of off season, if you're pushing your body weight too high and your weight is not good weight, you're going to suffer, and it's going to affect people around you. But obviously, we will cover that in the next episode. But you know, you can. On both sides of the spectrum, there's so many costs you have to, involve.
Yeah. In prep and in off season, they're very similar, but they're also different, because you, as bodybuilders, we're always at the extremes. So we're either extremely low food, extremely fatigued, grafting our ass off, or we're eating over the amounts of a normal human being. We're walking around like a fridge, and we can't breathe, and our hearts are a bit not the greatest, and all that kind of stuff. So we're always at extremes. We're never at that cool point where it's like, yeah, this is all right. But I said it on my story this morning. That's the difference between bodybuilding and fitness. And you can't get bodybuilding and fitness mixed up, because they're two totally different things. Health and fitness and bodybuilding are not the same thing. Health and fitness and bodybuilding are not the same thing. If you're doing health and fitness, you just want to look good in the gym, or you want to run up a mountain or climb a mountain or whatever. It's different to what we do. It's very different. Bodybuilding is not healthy, and the costs of it are everything we're speaking about here. It can be life and death, and then that's when we start to come on to PEDs, where it can literally be life or death for you, and it can be so many complications. But for some reason, we're just like, yeah, fuck it, we'll be all right. We'll figure it out. Like, we still go ahead with it. We accept the risks. That I hate, you know what? Yeah, what I don't like is when people try to tell me what steroids do. You know, people in the outside world, like they try PEDs. You're gonna have your heart's gonna get enlarged. You're gonna die at 50. I'm like, you know what? I don't know. I know all this. Like, you don't need you to tell me. You don't know nothing about this. I literally research this every single day of my life, and I've got you who knows nothing, probably read something in the newspaper telling me I'm going to die at 50 and all this kind of stuff. I know these risks, and I'm absolutely fine with it. That's why I do it, because I know and I understand the risks. I understand the cost of bodybuilding could be death, but I'm willing to do it. I'm going to do it as healthy as possible. So that's where we need to kind of discuss what we need to do in terms of making these PEDs as healthy as possible for us.
The thing is as well, Dudley, the people that are telling you steroids are bad for you are the ones that are sniffing coke every weekend and drinking every night. So, how can they possibly be in a position to tell you that's unhealthy?
Yeah, I just feel like saying, look, let's both go get bloods done now.
Yeah.
And I reckon my bloods are going to be better than yours. If you've been eating pizzas every single night and you don't go to the gym and all this, I guarantee, let's get bloods done. Even though I take PEDs, I don't really drink alcohol or nothing. Like, my diet's on point every single day, healthy foods, greens, everything. Your diet is shit. You drink every weekend, you get smashed. You take a lot of recreational drugs like class A kind of stuff. Like,
water intake's probably really low, sleep's probably shit.
Yes. So if you actually compare our insides, mine might be a little bit better than yours. So you've not really got much of a ground to stand on. So in terms of mitigating side effects when we do use PEDs, what's your kind of base hold? I have Trained by JP, like Vital Support is one of my that's like my base supplement, and then I have other little things around there that kind of depending on what I need at that moment in time.
I think, like, on the subject of like mitigating the risk from the PEDs, obviously the first and foremost thing I would say is, do you really need PEDs? Are you at a level where you need PEDs?
Yeah.
In the first place, we're talking about the cost of bodybuilding, but you can mitigate the costs of bodybuilding by actually making that decision in the first place. Like, have I even come close to my natural potential? Or am I just doing it because I'm comparing myself to guys on Instagram and I just want to get big quick, which is still doesn't exist because PEDs aren't a magic formula anyway. They're just an addition onto what you're doing anyway. But like you say, I think first of all, make the choice. Are you even competing? Do you need to take a gram of Tren a week because the guy told you? Like, I think first and foremost, make that decision. And then obviously, like you say, there are things that when you are enhanced, and if you are like a competitive bodybuilder, there's obviously a lot like supplements you can take. There's like a baseline of, supplements you can take to mitigate risks. And, I just think though, like, we need to work from the ground up, and just ask ourselves that question first, but like, if we're talking about bodybuilders as we are competitive bodybuilders, then like say, I think at the very least, you should be running some sort of support supplement wise. Like, so you take the JP one. I've been taking the Strom Support Max to take that with the Tudka and everything. Yeah, that's quite a good one. But yeah, that's like a given, you know. But again, that adds to the costs of bodybuilding. Well, obviously we've covered that in the next.
Financial costs.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. Health,
like,
health costs, physical costs. We're looking at just liver and organs and all that kind of stuff being affected by the things that we take. So we just need to protect them as much as possible. And it's like I said, comparing blood work to a normal person, make sure you do get your blood work done. Don't just throw yourself into a cycle, because then you've got nothing to compare from. So getting this blood work done allows you to compare where you've been at in previous either post show or your first ever cycle, and then just say like, is it the PEDs that have caused this? Or especially like if you get it something your blood's done before your first ever cycle, you can look at that and see something's out of range and you'll be like, okay, that's out of range. But if you don't get it done and then you get it done after your first cycle and you see some stuff out of range and you're like, oh shit, that's out of range, it must have been the PEDs, and it's not actually the PEDs fault. It might just be a problem that you've had for ages. So you need to understand where your standpoint is at all times. So I got my bloods done first before I ever did a cycle. I think I was 22 years old and I did my first cycle. I got my bloods done and everything was in range, everything was good, and then I was like, okay, cool, let's go. It's time to go now.
Like you said, Dudley, that's very important. If you can get it done beforehand, then you can actually see how those PEDs drugs are affecting you. So say if you don't know, like say your HDL, you start PEDs and your good cholesterol is on the floor after the cycle, you don't know if it was the gear that did that or if you were naturally, your HDL was just low, because sometimes it can be. But like you say, that's another cost of bodybuilding. If you take certain compounds, you've got to expect that certain health markers are going to go down. That's just a given. Like, you know, Primo can lower your HDL cholesterol. There's so much to think about when selecting PEDs and going on PEDs. And I would say we're talking about the costs of health. PEDs probably are the biggest cost to your health, aren't they? And if you mess about with PEDs, then the costs to your health can be, you know, endless. I mean, even with another thing to accept is you might not be able to have kids. You might not be fertile again. You know, I think that's a big thing for males to understand. Like your FSH, your LH will plummet.
Yeah.
During, you know, but that's a cost. I think you've got to realize that's a cost as well. You've got. Yeah. Are you willing to accept that you might not be able to have kids? Obviously, you can. You know, I know loads of guys that have had their, you know, hormones dip to the bottom, but then they have been able to have kids. But you've got to accept you might not be able to.
Yeah, I made a video one time, and I think the first thing I said on the video, I said, you might not be able to have kids. How does that sound?
Yeah.
And that was the first point of the video, because I just wanted people to just kind of hear that, and then it kind of takes you back a little bit. And even just saying it takes me back a little bit, because I fucking want a family so much.
That's it, bro.
It's the cost. It's the cost of the game. We have to say, look, the percentage of chance that this could happen, and if it does happen, then I have to deal with it at the time. But I always have to have it in my head that there is a percentage, no matter how high percentage, low percentage it is. It can be different for different individuals, but it is something that's always going to be lingering there.
It's a cost, bro. That's it. You know, I think the deeper you get into bodybuilding, the higher the cost. That you kind of rack up a debt, don't you? The deeper you go, the more debt you rack up in all these points we're talking about. So, you know, anyone watching, it's like, it's not just, oh, I'm going to dip into bodybuilding. If you're dipping into bodybuilding, you've got to make sure you are aware of all these physical and mental costs you're going to have to pay at some point.
Have you set like a retirement date for yourself?
You know what, bro? I actually thought about this. I said to myself, if I don't turn pro by 30 years old, so I'm 27. So if I don't turn pro by 30, I'm probably just going to retire and just bodybuild for fun.
Yeah.
And then, as I said, if I do turn pro and I don't get to the Olympia by 35, then I'll call it a day at 35.
Yeah.
So I've got kind of like a 8-year, you know, plan, so to speak, because I think I've been doing this 5 years. If I go another 8 years, that's 8 years in the game. If I haven't turned pro in 8 years, it's probably not good. Do you know what I mean? Like if I give it my best, and you know,
it's
got to be realistic.
Person reward. Like it's as much as someone wants to say, yeah, I want to be top Olympian. It's probably not going to happen. Like unless you know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So my goal is to just I want to step on the Olympia stage at some point, and then I can say, look, my job's done, because anything
Yeah.
more than that, I don't think I'm capable of. But even just stepping on the Olympia stage is a big reach. It's a big goal, but it's you have to set the goals big, and that's my big goal. If I can step on the stage, then I can be like, okay, cool, I've fucking done it now. I can concentrate on coaching. I can concentrate on maybe building a family, sorting my health out, all that kind of stuff. So it's important to have eyes on the future
Yeah.
when you, and what because but to have eyes on the future, it's weighing up the costs versus kind of the reward, the risk versus reward. Is the risk worth it, pushing drugs for that little bit longer? And because once I step on the Olympia stage, it's like, well, I can keep pushing drugs now. I'm probably still never going to make top 10. I'm just going to make myself even more unhealthier and unhealthier every single year with no, like, I won't.
Yeah.
There's that point, there's that ceiling. And then you have to be realistic with yourself and your goals, and set that ceiling, I think. As much as it hurts your heart to say, oh, I'm not going to be one of the best in the world, like, you got to be realistic.
Yeah, no, definitely, Dudley. I think, to be honest, bro, I think that's something that people need to hear. Just be realistic with yourself. You know, if you're taking all of this, you're accruing all these costs that we're talking about, and you're not really making it that far. You've got to be honest with yourself. If you're taking all of that, if you're taking a lot of PDs and you're not getting that far in your career, you have got to weigh out the pros and the cons. Is it really worth it to not even like place at a regional show or come like fifth at a regional show? Is it really worth me taking all these drugs? You know, we just got to be honest, haven't we? Like, because you do see it a lot, you know. Whereas, like, say for either of us, Dudley, said, you know, you came top, what was it, top 10 in the Spain show?
Yeah.
Like you are a very competent bodybuilder. You know, you are a very good bodybuilder. And like for myself, I came this close to getting my pro card twice last year. You know, like, we know that if we keep pushing and keep on the right track, it is attainable.
Yeah.
You know, we've been there. We've proven that. You know, we've proved that. But when you've got people that have got so much risk to not much reward, I think that's when you've got to kind of weigh it out. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my phone now because there was one guy I had a little kind of on Instagram. He told me his cycle and it was ridiculous. This guy was not even right. Let me see. So obviously this guy's put his cycle up on Instagram. Yeah, this cycle was ridiculous. Yeah, so I've messaged him. I said, bro, like this is ridiculous. Basically, like you need to be careful, whatever. Because this guy he's not even bigger than me. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, like you don't need to be running this much. And then he hit me back. He was just boom straight at my throat, and I'm like, bro, I'm trying to save your life right now. Like, why are you hating on me? I'm literally trying to life. So my man was like, okay, so he was running 700 milligrams of test prop, 400 milligrams of test E, 1,050 milligrams of EQ, 350 milligrams of MAST, 175 milligrams of D-ball injectable, 20 milligrams of anadrol every single day. And then he said he's holding back on the tren and MPP until he can get to the heaviest weight, and then he's going to implement tren and MPP to try push past into his heaviest weight. That's what he put on his Instagram. So I replied to that, and I'm like, bro, that's ridiculous. This guy, is like fucking. What's he saying? So stage weight probably about 85 kg.
You got pictures?
I don't know if I So he's saying his usual off season is 110 kgs. Stage weight's about 90 kg. Like, you know, so I was like, bro, like, let me see if I can find. I said, and then obviously it hit me on the throat. So I was like, okay, man, just do you. I just thought it's better to talk about it than just to skip on to the next story. I've never spoke to this guy in my life. I literally just wanted to help him out. And I was like, I just thought it's better to talk about it or ask about it than skip on to the next story. And then obviously I asked him about his weight and stuff because he was saying he was too big for classic. And I was like, you're not too big for classic, bro. You diet harder. Like, you're not, you just diet harder. Like, I didn't even think I was going to be at my weight cap, but you know what? You just fucking grafted even harder. Like, I think you really know the point where you can't hit that weight cap. I think it's very, very evident. when
Yeah.
I can't reach the weight cap. I don't
Yeah.
think it's that easy to say no, I won't reach it. Because like I said, I thought I won't reach it. I ended up 10 pounds below it. So
Bro, yeah, even I thought I wouldn't reach 86 this year, and I just about managed it. But that, I think I'm at the point where I'm like, the look is suffering now because I'm having to suck down. I think that's when you know, isn't it? But like you say, but to be fair, Dudley, you look really good. You still look like fresh and full, you know, like. So
yeah, I think I lost it a little bit in Spain, like my glutes and stuff, my legs. I lost it mainly for my legs.
Yeah.
But that's fatigue and stuff. I lost a lot of fullness in my legs. But
But
anyway,
like you say, you can't just say, "Oh, I'm too big for classic," and just throw that out there. It's just not true.
yeah. Especially, yeah. And anyway, and then I can't even find the rest of that.
But it's an off-season cycle.
Yeah. It was like, why are you getting pussy hurt over someone who you don't know explaining his cycle, whatever. And then he just kind of went on. And I was like, why are you being disrespectful, man? This conversation is always warranted when the bodybuilding community should have a duty of care for each other. That's like, I didn't bite back at him. I just said, look, in the bodybuilding community, we've got a duty of care from each other. I've come across your story. I've seen you weigh the same as me. You're like, you're not really bigger than me, and you're fucking taking like 5 times what I take. But I can't even remember what the start of that was, but that was that guy's cycle anyway.
Dudley, this kind of leads us on to like the mental cost, because is he taking this because like mentally he's thinking, well, I've got to take more now to get bigger.
Yeah, that's what he said to me in the conversation. He was like, "Oh, well, these bodybuilders take this and whatever. Stop being a pussy with your dosages." I was like, "Bruv, how's that even like a diss to me, calling me a pussy with my dosages, bruv? I'm taking a quarter of what you're taking, and we're the same size. So if anything, you're the dickhead."
Yeah,
because I'm taking a quarter of what you're taking, and we look the same. So you're the dickhead, not me.
but then that's like a repercussion of bodybuilding, because he's like comparing himself to other people. He's comparing himself and he's thinking, I've got to up the dose, I've got to, and that's like a compulsion that he has that's developed in his head, isn't it? You know. Yeah. And I think that's a problem, isn't it? Like what we've got on here, like the mental costs. It's like sometimes you can have that body dysmorphia, and you know that feeling that I need to get bigger, so I have to up the dose. You know, I have to eat more food. You know, there's that cost of it as well. You know,
you always want more in bodybuilding. That's the biggest cost. To be fair.
Yeah.
As much as you say you stop at this point, I'll stop, you will want more and more and more and more and more in terms of progress. Mm-hmm. And then for some people, they don't have the sense to disconnect to have that risk versus reward analogy, and they just go for it even though there's no reward. And it's like, that's kind of on your mental health and your self-view and your self-image.
That's again a mental cost, because it's like you're never going to be, the moment you start, you're never really going to be happy. You're always going to be chasing that, aren't you? You're going to be chasing that next goal, that next new weight. It's always something. You're never going to be happy. And I guess that makes us a bit tapped in the head.
Yeah, I was going to talk about coping mechanisms, kind of just to wrap up that mental health bit. What coping mechanisms would you do? You start seeing yourself falling into that point of just wanting progress and pushing for not much reward. What do you do to combat that? Obviously, speaking to people, having a good circle. If someone does message you on Instagram trying to help you out, like I messaged this guy, don't just start fucking firing at him. Like I literally said to him, like, we've got a duty of care within the bodybuilding community. If I come across something, even if I've never spoke to you before, and I'm gonna fucking try and save your life, bro. But if you don't want to take that kind of that advice or just that input, then that's on you. But you need to be open to a support system.
Definitely, bro. And I think, like you said, that's in terms of like coping mechanisms. Have people around you that are going to be honest with you and that are going to give you critical feedback that you need to hear, not just that you want to hear. That's important. I think that's because not many people have like someone in their circle that's going to tell them that. You know, it's full of just smoke and mirrors, isn't it? So they'll keep going, you know, and they will get to like a point where they're like, oh shit, like I probably should have had someone there to tell me, don't be an idiot. Even like we were saying with post-show, like eating, you know, like my girlfriend's really good. She'll be there, and if I am eating, she'll be like, "Why are you eating that?" Or, you know, like she'll be there to sort of help with that. Whereas some people don't have that, and they'll just keep going and going and going. You know, it's having that there, and obviously I think having self-reflection is really important as well, Dudley. Like analyzing everything and thinking like, okay, so where am I? I want to do this, but have I done all the necessary things beforehand to warrant doing this? You know, like having that perception of yourself from an outside sort of view, if you like. I think that's quite powerful in bodybuilding to think logically, not emotionally.
Yeah. To
you know.
be fair, if we was to sum up coping mechanisms, I'd say think logically more than emotionally. Just try and be rational with everything, because it is impacting your health, is impacting your overall life, and you really need to sit down and think about these things and write it down and say, right, this versus this, is it worth it? Is it not? And then you can kind of figure out like what your next steps are, and then dealing with that properly.
To be honest, Dudley, like what we've just been speaking about, if someone watches this video and is thinking about competing, and hopefully they've listened to all our points, and it's no joke, you actually have to weigh up all of these, like your job, your relationship, your finances. You have to weigh all of this up before a contest prep. I think that's one mistake that people get into. They don't think about it.
Yeah,
you know, they just do it. Yeah. And then they deal with the fallout afterwards. I've done that on a few preps. You know, you deal with the shit afterwards because you're just so fixated on competing. But if you think,
or they just drop out, they get halfway through the prep.
They drop out. Yeah.
Like it's not for
even
me.
Worse.
Fucking prepared for it in the first.
Yeah. Which is worse, in my opinion.
Yeah. Or then one thing that really annoys me is if someone will do a bodybuilding prep, and then they'll post on Instagram like, "Oh, bodybuilding's horrible. I'm never doing this again. I hate it." It's not bodybuilding's fault. It's your fault. It really is your fault because you've not dealt with it right. You've not managed it right. You've not weighed up all these points. You've not thought about the costs of bodybuilding. You've just thrown yourself into a prep, done it, realized you don't like it, and then cried about it on Instagram and blamed bodybuilding as a whole.
And probably come out with issues, you know, that you have to address now, maybe like your thyroid or, you know, whatever, your red blood cell count's too high. But like you say, that's not bodybuilding's fault. That's your poor management skills. You know, let's be honest. Like say, if you had weighed out the cost beforehand, it probably wouldn't have happened. So that's definitely, you know, a point to address, I think.
Yeah.
And that's
if we wrap up this whole thing, the costs of bodybuilding, there are a lot of costs of bodybuilding. Literally everything we've just spoke about needs to be written down on a piece of paper and weighed up to say, look, is it worth it for me? Is it worth it for my life? Can I take it to that level? If it's maybe like, to be fair, even if it's like 80% worth it, just do a lower level show. Do a lower level shows out there. You don't have to be doing the top shows in the country and trying to push for a pro card. You can do a decent low level show being at 80%, and that's absolutely fine. But again, you have to be real with yourself, understand your boundaries, and if that is your boundary, you say, look, I can't deal with the costs to actually go all in on this, but I can do it as a hobby and I can enjoy doing a lower level show and look decent. But when you're trying to do it to the level that we're trying to do it at and have the goals that we have, every single thing that we spoke about needs to be weighed up.
It is all or nothing. At that level, it's all or nothing. But like you said, Dudley, if you feel like you can't do that, like just do a low level show, and then maybe eventually you'll get that, you know, experience and management to realize that you might be able to take it further. But yeah, don't just think, oh, I'm going to do a prep, I'm going to be a pro, I'm going to get my pro card. It's not as easy as that. It's really not. But like what we said, Dudley, one thing I did want to just actually with the body image thing, do you know, like in off season and in prep, I think that's another cost that you've got to accept when we said that you're never going to be happy, because in off season, you might be a bit heavier than you like. You might be holding a bit more body fat than you like. And that's going to be uncomfortable. That's a cost mentally. And in prep, you know, like when you're coming out of prep, you feel you're so lean, and then, you know, you're going to see this body fat accrue. And even when you're lean, you feel small. So you can't.
You're never winning with bodybuilding, man. It's a constant mental battle, but you have to learn how to deal with it. And
but that's what I say. If you struggle with your body image and you have body dysmorphia beforehand, I would say bodybuilding probably isn't for you, because it's going to make it worse. You are going to develop some level of body dysmorphia only until you get to the point where you're like, these are stages. You've got to accept that there are stages that you're at, and you know, it's all about the final picture on stage, really, as a bodybuilder, isn't it?
And don't think that you're ever by yourself when it comes to all these mental health problems with bodybuilding, because we all we all deal with them. So you're not like an outlier. Everyone in bodybuilding deals with these little things. It's just everyone has different ways of managing them, and some people can't manage it, and some people can manage it really, really well. So yeah.
Don't let Instagram fool you. Like every bodybuilder has gone through all these problems that we were just talking. Everyone has.
I mean, like I almost quit bodybuilding because I just didn't think I was good enough. I almost quit bodybuilding because I didn't think I was good enough. I was shot down into the ground with a coach that I had, and mentally I was in such a bad position. I was like, is this for me? Do I even enjoy it? Am I even good enough to get to where I want to? Like, I was questioning myself so much, and it wasn't until like Hader comes and instills this confidence back in me. I remember him saying like, we need to get this old Dudley back. He was like, you're not the same. I can see it in you. And then obviously that was leading on from an injury as well. So it was like I was just in such a bad place. But once I managed to get that confidence in myself back, then it's just been ramping up since then. That's only over the last year. So short off season between the Arnolds and then starting prep for this year. Now we're planning to maybe compete in November. So I've got a good over a year to put on the size with this confidence that I've now got, that I actually believe in myself, because I've never believed in myself more than I have right now. And I feel so proud to say that, coming from where I am right now. So I'm just trying to hold on to that and be proud of that and just keep working every single day, coming from where I've come from, man.
That's tough, bro. Honestly, no, fair play, bro. Fair play. Like I say, I haven't seen, like, obviously we've not known each other too long, but that's inspiring, bro. And we're saying about the cost of bodybuilding, but there's also many positives to bodybuilding as well. There are many positives to bodybuilding.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, but I mean, we wouldn't be doing it if there wasn't the positives. We'd just be like,
yeah. If we're just talking about all this shit, there's no reward.
Bodybuilding's so horrible.
You got to remember, like you say, we do this because we love it, and like Dudley just said there, you can instill so much confidence and discipline in yourself. Bodybuilding can give you so much in that terms of things, but the whole point of this podcast, this episode, is just to say there are costs to that. And if you don't love bodybuilding, if you don't truly love bodybuilding, it might not be worth the cost. But for me and Dudley, it is worth it because we fucking love this.
Yeah. So that wraps up all the costs of bodybuilding stuff. If you've missed anything, you can go click back through. I'll put all the timestamps on so you can see. But right now, the last portion of this, we're going to move on to some bodybuilding news and just talk about a couple of stuff that's going on at the moment. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to look at a few athletes. Let me share my screen right now. Screen share. This one, or the first one up. Boom, can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
He's up first, yeah. Did you see this guy before I sent you him?
Yeah, man. I say briefly looked, and I was like, this dude's, when Dudley told me this guy's still an amateur, I was just like, what? Like, how?
19 weeks out from the amateur Olympia. Imagine saying the amateur Olympia, yeah. Stunts there backstage. You're just like, yo, I've just spent on entry for no reason. Why have I spent 500 quid on this? People just flying there and everything's flying.
Oh, can you imagine?
And you just turn up backstage and this guy's there. You're going to be like, oh, yo, I've just wasted over $1,000 coming to
Mate, that is just
like not even have a chance.
That is just ridiculous. 19 weeks out as well in that condition.
Yeah, as well. He's 5'9", so Elliot's 5'9". He is 275 pounds at the moment. 19 weeks out from the amateur. I've seen some people kind of talk about him potentially maybe even being in 212, but with him being 5'9", there's no chance that's going to happen at 275. That's not happening. It's just because he kind of because he's got so much mass, he just looks short. But just to confirm, he's 5'9", so that 212 it's not happening.
Bro, what's that like? How much would he have to lose? Like 70 pounds?
Yeah. He's
where he is now?
275 now, so what, 70 pounds?
That's not. He'd have to like lose mass.
Not happening. But imagine this guy standing next to Nick Walker.
Yeah, I think it's hard to tell, isn't it, on Instagram, because you never know. You never know until he gets on stage. But if you're judging off of pictures and if you're judging off stats as well, like weight, isn't Nick Walker about the same weight at the moment?
Mid 270s. Is it? I'm not sure.
I think Nick Walker's about. Is Nick Walker like 270 or 280 or something?
Not sure. Is he taller?
Nick Walker's shorter. I think
Shorter?
Nick Walker's like 5'6". Yeah, I think like Nick Walker's like 5'6". Yeah. So if you say this guy's like 5'9" and he's like the same weight as Nick Walker,
Yeah.
you just don't know until you go on stage.
It looks bubbly as hell.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he looks.
Like I said to you, comment, man. Pro card imminent. How's man got a pro card? How is this guy still waiting for a pro card?
You know, you see some guys that have got their pro card. You're like, how did he get the pro card? This is like the complete opposite. It's like, how's he not got his pro card?
Got it earlier. Guys must have been chilling somewhere, but no, I'm excited to see this guy. But what do you think?
Yeah,
the direction of bodybuilding's not really going this guy's way at the moment, is it? Apart from Walker.
No. But needless to say, he could stand in any pro qualifier and pretty much walk it. You know.
I mean, when he's peeled, his waist does look like it comes in.
Yeah.
If he can bring a look like that, he was 13 weeks out here.
It's insane, man.
What was he 13 weeks out from? Because that can't have been a pro qualifier, because this motherfucker would have told me.
That's reasonable.
Must have been, as he switched over from a different fed, like Cruzo.
I'm not sure if he's.
Like Cruzo was in
the IFBB Elite.
IFBB Elite. Yeah.
Maybe he's got IFBB in his neck. Oh no, he's not. No, he's not. Who knows, bro? Is he from America?
Yeah, there's no IFBB Elite in America, is there? It's just all NPC.
Yeah, he must have just been doing it.
I don't know whoever beat him in this show that he was 13 weeks out from, but it must have been a fucking beast.
That's insane, bro. You just don't see that in an amateur, do you?
No, but if he can keep that waist in and fucking keep everywhere else bubbly.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be
wild to see next to anyone.
290. Do you see Dudley White said he how tall is he? Just because like his limbs are so like stacked full of muscle, he looks like shorter.
Yeah, he definitely looks short. He don't look, because he's technically like my height. Fucking
yeah, he's yeah.
Do you see Samson's most recent picture?
Yeah, Samson's just
what a fucking decent, just
yeah, man. Do you know what they did? To me, that's open bodybuilding. To me, that's how it should be.
Perfect. Yeah, the physique just flows well.
Yeah,
everything's just right. Like, you're not looking at it and thinking, "Fuck me." That's like, you look at the other guy who we just had up, and it's like, it's a bit too much for my point.
Yeah.
It's artistic. Remember, bodybuilding's got to be artistic as well.
Yeah.
Mass game. There was one point in bodybuilding where it was just a mass game, but this is what we're talking about, the new direction of bodybuilding.
Yeah.
We're seeing it come to guys like Samson Dowder with the smaller waist, Andrew Jacked with the smaller waist. And I'm loving that. And
Derek Lunsford as well. Derek Lunsford looks great.
Yeah. I think we started to see that 4 years ago.
It's like you look at Samson and you actually could say that's a beautiful physique still.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look at Nick Walker, you can't really say that, can you?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Just looking at it and you're like, oh, that's fucking disgusting. But like a good disgusting way, like it's not a bad way.
No, it's not bad. Yeah.
It's a good disgusting way.
I personally prefer that though. I do like that still look. It looks aesthetic, but he's just got the crazy size and
what was his weight here? Because this was I remember, was it this one? He's been doing so many guest posing as well.
Yeah. Too. Wasn't he like 320 pounds or something?
I'm not sure. He's tall as well, though, isn't he? But it's so good for British bodybuilding, man. To say we're just a little island, we've got some fucking talent here.
Yeah, man.
Talent.
Samson's definitely flying the flag at the moment.
Like, compared to like America, you got to think how many people are in America.
Yeah,
obviously they're going to have more on the stage and stuff, but the quality of athletes that we bring from England, man, is absolutely insane for like the small country that we are.
100%, bro.
Wanted to just pick up on Justin Shear at the moment as well. Justin Shire said that wrong. So we're looking here 4 weeks out from his pro debut. I did think he was doing this weekend, but what do you think about this from for 4 weeks out? Just another kind of aesthetic physique, big arms, small waist, and proper like classic looking, but
just pleasing.
Do you think he's going to be ready in 4 weeks?
I mean, the thing is, looking at these shots, it's like you can pick apart, think, oh, is he going to be conditioned in time? But some guys can do a lot in 4 weeks. That's the thing. You never know. It might inform it, but in 2 weeks' time, he could look ready. You know, some guys just come in quick, so it's kind of hard to say. But his shape and his structure and his flow, I think that will carry him. But obviously, he does need to be in condition because the pro shows aren't needed. Do you know who's doing that show he's doing? Is anyone else?
Sure, I know that potentially he's doing Tampa after that.
Yeah.
Then his biggest competition in Tampa is going to be Hunter.
Hunter, yeah. So yeah, I mean Hunter always comes in, doesn't he?
Yeah. So
in terms of shape, like again, that's a really pleasing physique, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
that's a really pleasing physique.
Waist, big arms. This is bodybuilding.
But it's just, I think it's condition because you can't win a pro show in open without condition. They still account for condition, but it's just if he can bring it in.
We'll see what he brings in 4 weeks, but then even if he doesn't manage to nail it all in 4 weeks, we've then got the Tampa after that where he can see if he can take
Definitely keep an eye on him. Definitely keep an eye on that.
It's going to be a good pro debut. So something else as well I wanted to bring up, who is, how many weeks out is he? I'm not sure. I had it up. I think, did he put it on this post? I think it's 18 weeks out, is it?
18, is it?
Is it? No, he's not 8. He can't be. He's 8. 8, that's it.
8 weeks.
Yeah, 8 weeks. I was like, that condition for 8 weeks out, no chance. 8 weeks out. But the problem with Keon, listening to a lot of stuff, apparently he just can't diet. He's not amazing at dieting.
Or is that like a mental thing? Like you just
he just can't suffer, apparently.
Yeah.
He's genetically a fucking beast. How was his first cycle? A few years ago, he turned pro natural, I'm sure.
Yeah. In classic, didn't he?
Yeah, and then I know he had some mental health issues, which led him to want to drop weight and like go into what's he doing now? Is he doing 2-1-2?
2-1-2 now.
Into classic, wasn't he?
He was classic. He's doing 2-1-2 now, I think.
Yeah. I can't remember what I was watching that on. But he almost gave up on everything.
Really?
It's good to see him back firing like this, and I hope like he comes in and reaches his potential, because I still don't think we've ever seen his best. Ever.
No. If he comes in condition like skinless, it's game over because he's got everything else, hasn't he? Yeah. He's got literally everything. He's definitely, it's just a matter of condition and he'll win the Olympia. That's what I think.
100%. He just needs to nail in. I think a lot of the stuff for him, his issues from what I see and read, is all mental issues.
Yeah.
So I think if he can lock in that mindset and get the right team around him and solidify that, his daily team, then will bring.
It's just a matter of if he can do it. That's it. It's not
6.5 years ago in his grandpa's kitchen. What is he there? How old is he there, do you reckon?
Probably, what is he? Probably like 22 or something.
Yeah. Just early 20, really early 20s. It's beautiful. Imagine just looking like that. Shapes.
I still think he could have done really well in classic, to be honest. I still think he could have, but I think the
cap would have been too hard for him to reach.
Yeah, that's it.
He's not now.
If there was no cap in classic, he still would do it.
If the cap gets increased because of the new men's physique limit, if the cap gets increased, we never know who we'll be seeing dropping down to classic.
Oh, really? Is it being increased as well?
Nah. But we can kind of think of it maybe, because if they're pushing up men's physique, then maybe they might push up classic up.
Yeah, maybe. I can hope. We can pray.
And then last on our look list for today is going to be so the question that I have down here is, will he meet the cap? Will he meet the cap? Yes. Will he finally fill out the cap? Because he was quite a way under the cap.
Yeah. I mean, isn't he like 50 pounds over the cap, right? Like as of now.
Not sure what he's right.
I remember watching it. I think I watched a video the other day with that. Is it Greg Doucette? And he was saying that like is like 50 pounds over the cap.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think he'll definitely reach. I think he'll fill out the cap. This will be the year where he fills out the cap. Maybe.
I think he will now. Just looking at him here and knowing his weight, like I don't see why he wouldn't. If he can maintain that sort of fullness,
Yeah, because he's looking absolutely wham.
He looks insane.
Good to just see if he can just keep that same shapes and lines and bring in that condition. It's going to be a graft for him coming down.
Yeah,
I think he just did what was necessary. I think he knew he just needed a shit ton of size.
Yeah, yeah.
What's necessary. And like we talked about the costs of bodybuilding, are you willing to push it to the extremely high body fat levels? No, to be fair, he's pretty decent. It's not
Still lean. That's the thing. Yeah.
He's not like Jim Butler, that picture
Yeah.
where he's sat eating that bowl of fucking
Yeah, with his face like that.
and he's just fat as fuck. It's not like that. He's still looking good.
To be fair, Dudley, to be fair, like if you look at his condition on that most recent post, you think, how can he even pull off 50 pounds from that? Because it's not like he's still got lines in his quads and everything like that one there. Yeah. Like,
is that recent?
Yeah, I think it's recent, bro, honestly.
Jesus.
Like, how can you even pull off 50 pounds from there?
Yeah.
Like what we said, though, if you really want it, you will do it. But will that sacrifice his look? I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's going to be him or Simon. These pictures, I love these pictures, man. I need to get these cameras. But it's a gym as well. You can't take pictures. You need like a grungy old gym as well.
Yeah, you need a proper old school gym.
But yeah, it's going to be exciting to see these two against each other this year.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. I really rate Erz's physique. I think he is a true classic physique, like his structure and everything.
Erz or Ramon for second?
I personally prefer Erz.
I
prefer Erz, but like that's not to say Ramon's not fucking insane. Like he's a freak, isn't he?
The thing that lets him down is his posing compared to these two. These
two,
how to pose. He's more of a bodybuilder.
Yeah, he's a bit. Yeah, he is a bodybuilder, isn't he? It's good to have different things that from your past and still keep them alive, not just be this fixated bodybuilding is my life. It's all bodybuilding or nothing. It's good to have something else in your life that sets you apart from bodybuilding. Yeah,
but then the things like other things can enhance your bodybuilding, just like his dancing background enhanced his posing, and Arnold Schwarzenegger used to do the ballet classes and stuff.
Man.
So all this stuff outside bodybuilding, you can integrate it in whatever.
It's great,
anywhere. You can probably pull something from that, whether that's just the mindset that you've got from doing this one thing or the discipline that you've got from doing this other job or whatever. Bring it all into bodybuilding, and that's.
To be fair, bro, I was like, I had a big music background before I started like taking bodybuilding seriously. So I was always performing it on a stage, playing like in a band. Yeah. So the like getting on stage and being in front of a crowd has never ever fazed me once because I was used to it. So like you say, it's kind of taking those things and utilizing it for bodybuilding. It's only be a good thing. But
100%, man. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed the episode today. That was a cost of bodybuilding and a little bit of bodybuilding news for you. Drop a comment, drop a like, share it on Instagram, give us a tag. And that was the Physique Talks episode. We will catch you again next week. Peace.